So we're doing a brush-in resin casting with MPK Enterprises new resin. It's a 75D 4-minute brushable resin. So we're using a silicone mold, and the process is quite simple. The ratio of this is component A, which is this one here. Component A is 52, component B is 48. So we will begin mixing using our gram scale. And about there. Okay. Like one little error. I have gloves. I just don't know where I put them. Oh, there they are. Always work with gloves. You don't want to get resin all over your hands. And yeah, it just gets sticky. Should be right about there. I don't have any stir sticks right now, so I'll just use my brush. And you can feel it heating up right off the bat. See all that color change? There you go. And you just start brushing it in. Now, be in a well-ventilated area. You can hear my machines working in the background. They're 3D printing some props for Dungeons and Dragons, of course. There's a 4-minute work time with this. So you take your time, you're going to end up with a little bit of wasted resin in your cup. Just get as much as you can on all the surfaces. As soon as you can. And this is heating up a little bit. The hotter it gets, it lets you know it's curing. I'll put that cup in and everything. I can feel this working. You're almost to where you can't work it now. You see, unlike regular resin that you just kind of pour into a mold, this kind of sticks to the walls. So you're not seeing it puddle up in the middle. Now let's see if I can get just a little bit more out of this. Now once you've used your brush is pretty much just toast. It's a dead brush. That's why you have so many extras right here. So that was around 6 ounces worth of material, and I'm going to let that cure just a little bit, give it some time. See here. I tend to reuse the same cup. I've never had any issues with that. So I'll go ahead and make another batch here. Make sure it's done right. If you don't mix it properly, you're going to have a little bit of A and B not completely mixed together, and you're just going to have a sticky mess. There we go. And actually, my brush might be good enough for another batch. Let's give it a shot. Now you can probably see that's really holding on to the edges there. That's exactly what we want. Yeah, I shouldn't be messing with it when it's to this level, so we'll call that good. Now these high points here, those are going to be a little difficult to get a lot of stuff on because everything will just run right off of that. Even with the brush on, they'll be thin. But we'll fix that. Do just a little bit on this right here because that's where it sits into the egg. This little spot here is not all that important, not in the design. It's mostly the detail. Had to use a total of 18 ounces for this. I think we're good. I'm going to try and get some of that thicker stuff before it gets really hard. Put on a couple high edges. There we go. Okay, so this one is done. So we will go ahead and move this over here and start with this one. Working on my OBS player here. By my supplier, it is Hobby Silicones Incorporated in Southern California. No, I'm on my Twitch. you can watch. Alright, so. Oh, that's a dead brush. Restart that. Remember, component B has got just a little less than component A. About there. So it's, like I said, it's a 52-48 ratio. Now once there's enough layers, 3 layers on this, basically, is what it's taking, I'm going to put the mold back together, and we're going to do a final brush in on the seam line. That way, when it completely cures, 100%, which is usually about 10 minutes, sometimes 15, depending on the temperature in the room. Temperature in this room is 68-ish, thereabouts. Very comfortable. I try to keep everything temperature controlled in the studio here. And another thing about silicones and resins, do not keep them in a cold place. Keep them at room temperature. If you don't have them at room temperature, your silicone's going to go bad. Just like anything else. That's, you know, silicones, resins, it's all a learning process. I like to try and take the thick stuff and put it right on the edges there. Definitely be careful not to put it on an overhang when it's thick. You need it thin so you don't get any air pockets. There's also the option, after doing a mold, a silicone mold, you can also do a expanding foam. But you have to have self-skinning expanding foam if you want to keep detail. So, the brush and resin gives you a nice hard surface, a hard shell, and keeps it hollow. So if you're going to have any kind of animatronics or something like that later in the future, I mean, you can always cut away the spots that are to be moving, add the electronics, all that good stuff. Now, the brush I'm using has already gotten hard, so I'm going to just use it as a stir stick for right now. And I keep showing you, you notice that it goes from kind of the honey type color to this, kind of creamy tan color. That's because it's having the chemical reaction. That's what you want. Now I'm just going to do a pour here, which is another way you can do it if you're in a hurry. You got time sensitive material. You saw I was just brushing it from the cup. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and do it this way too. So, a lot of times this is probably the best way of doing it. If you're being finicky and you want to make sure it gets in every nook and cranny, and sometimes doing it the way I was doing it originally would work best for you. I tend to do both. I'm just letting it set up a little bit. You don't want to be pushing it around when it's like in its middle phase, because you want to know where the thick and thin areas are going to be. I use a digital gram scale, so that way I'm pretty much spot on every time. Yeah, you can probably see in the background the other mold looks really good. It's pretty consistent. This one's all one color. There we go. And let's go ahead and dust dump it. Alright. We'll do one more, and that'll be in this area here. And when it starts to thicken up in the cup, I'll put just a little bit more here, and probably a little bit more on the edges. And when this cures a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and clean off these edges here, because they got stuff on them. You don't want your mold to be inconsistent. Now this one I'm not going to pour in, I'm going to just brush it in. That's the color we want. You can feel it heating up in your hand. A couple little touch-ups that I needed to do here. So, as you can see, fairly smooth. We've got good layering, mostly consistent color, and for this project here, that's all you really need. Now, I'm going to have a little fun with it later in the future, where I'm going to put some fading glowing lights inside of it. Be kind of a fun little thing. Since Halloween's over, put Christmas lights in the darn thing. But yeah, this is the brush up. As you can see, it works very well, and takes about 5 to 10 minutes cure time. I would probably, through my experience, wait a bit longer. So let's see here. Work on these edges. That looks pretty good. So go ahead and secure the mold. Another thing is, if you don't want your good clothes to get ruined, wear some work clothes that you're not worried about. Otherwise, you're going to kind of regret that. I can definitely show you what the inside of the mold looks like. Or maybe not. Do I have a... Okay, you see that mold line? Where the two halves come together? That's the next step. We need to fill that up. So, that's our next phase. And it's not really that hard. It's just getting it all set up. Yeah, and I took my cup with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up probably 2 ounces, a 2 and 2, so 4 ounces total, and do a pour. So I'm going to pour it into this spot, let gravity do its thing, and then I'm going to turn the mold around and let it continue on with whatever's left over. If I have to, I'll reach in there and go ahead and use the brush. Okay, now I can use the brush. Be with you guys in just a little bit. So it's been a few hours. This piece is definitely cured. So let's go ahead and start opening it. Okay, there we go. That came off really good. Nice and solid. So, let's show you what that looks like there. So, okay, let's see here. Okay. Not bad. And the cool thing about this type of resin, if you want to do a brush up, let's see here, and you could use it for decorative means. So there we go. We got ourselves a light. I'll turn the lights off. Pretty cool, huh? Dude. Alien egg is alive. So, and of course, you know, if you want to do some cool special effects, you could do fading LEDs or do a soft glow. I know there's Christmas lights that do the same thing. So just stuff them in there and you could do some really cool stuff. But anyhow, there is our alien egg. See, mine's turned out pretty good. A couple little holes there that I missed, but you know, this part's going to be hidden inside the base of the for the alien egg. So this is kind of what I would consider just a guide, a key. So when I have the alien egg base, I could just find that, the positive to that, and plop it right in, and it's good as done. So put that there, and thank you for following my video and watching me make this really cool prop with this new resin. So thanks again.